So we are going to start talking about systems of equations. Systems of equations are two or more equations with the same variables when solving a system of equations. We are looking for solutions that will satisfy each of the conditions given in the equations. So up to this point, we've been talking about one equation at a time and solving those and looking for the single solution or the single solution that's going to satisfy that condition. Well, now we're going to be talking about two or more equations. And so what happens is each equation represents a condition that has to be met. And we are looking for the one singular solution, or in the case of system of inequalities, multiple solutions that satisfy each of those conditions. There are several different methods that we're going to discuss on how to solve these, and the first one we're going to start with is called the substitution method. So this is a strategy used for solving a system of equations where an expression from one equation is substituted within another equation to find the solutions. Okay, so we're going to walk through. I got an example to kind of discuss this idea as a whole and this method of solving. So we have an example that the next algebra test is worth 100 points and contains 35 problems. Multiple choice questions are worth 2 points each, and word problems are worth 7 points each. How many of each type of question are there? So take time to read first off and reread the question. That's going to be our first thing that we want to do. We're going to highlight and underline anything that's important and make note of any information that we need to use. So it's important that we really study the question and what's being asked. So what I notice is that we have multiple choice questions and we have word problems. One is worth 2 points, the other is worth 7 points each. There is a total number of problems and a total number of points. And what is unknown is the number of multiple choice and word problem questions. So I don't know the number of multiple choice questions, and I don't know the number of word problem questions. So I'm going to call those x and y as my unknown, and that's actually moving into defining the variables. So these are going to be the number of multiple choice questions, and the y is going to represent the number of word problems. You could use any variable that you wanted to use. We could use m to represent the number of multiple choice questions, and we can use w to represent the number of word problems. That's perfectly fine. And in fact, we'll just do that for this example so that you can see it doesn't really matter the variables that we use. Now, we need to create equations and then solve those equations. So let's create our equations first. So we know that we've got a relationship here that's between multiple choice questions and word problems. So we're looking at standard form type of questions or equations. So there's two conditions that we notice that need to be met. The two conditions are that they have to equal 100 points and the test has to have 35 problems. Those are the two conditions. So I'm going to set both of my equations equal. One's going to be equal to 35, the other one is going to be equal to 100, because those are my two conditions. So with the first condition, I know that the number of multiple choice plus the number of word problems has to equal 35. So I can write this as m plus w is equal to 35. Now, the 100 points involves me using the number of multiple choice and word problems, but also how many each one is worth. So it's 2 points per multiple choice plus 7 points per word problem, that's where I'm going to get the total of 100 points. I have to include the points for each type of question as well. So here's my two equations. Now, here are the steps for solving with substitution methods. First thing I'm going to do is rearrange one of the equations to isolate a variable. So I'm going to rearrange this one, and I'm going to say m plus w is equal to 35, and I'm going to get m by itself. So I'm going to have m is equal to 35 minus w. Same equation, I just rearranged it. Okay, so that's step one. Then I'm going to substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for the remaining variable. So what you'll notice here is that if m is equal to 35 minus w, then could I not replace this m in this other equation with that expression? And because they're equal, I can replace m with this because this is equal to m. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 2 multiplied by 35 minus w plus 7w is equal to 100. Now I can solve for this one variable. Basically, because I substituted this variable, I got rid of it, and so now I only have one variable left. So I can distribute. I get 70 minus w plus 7w is equal to 100. I can combine my like terms. 70 plus 6w is equal to 100. I can subtract the 70, I get 30, and I can divide by 6, and I get that there are 5 word problems. Okay, from here, okay, so actually let's go back and make sure I did this correctly. It was 2 times negative w, which is negative 2w, and then when I combine my like terms here, I have 5w. Helps when you don't go so fast. And then I'm going to divide by the 5, and I get 6. Okay, so I end up with 6 word problems. Now, once I know what the value of that is, I can substitute that answer into either one of these equations to find the other variable. So this time I know that w is 6, so I can do m plus 6 is equal to 35. I subtract the 6, and I get m is equal to 29. Okay, so now what I found is that there are 29 multiple choice questions and 6 word problems. So I need to check and make sure that that meets my conditions. Well, the first condition was that together they're supposed to equal 35. Well, 29 plus 6 does equal 35. So that's first condition met. The second condition was that they had to total 100 points. Well, there were 2 points for each multiple choice question, and that was 29 points, or 29 of those, plus 7 points for each multiple choice or word problem, and there were 6 word problems. So in total, that's supposed to equal 100. Well, 29 times 2 is going to be 58, and 7 times 6 is 42, and so that totals 100. So we have met both conditions of this. So what I come to find out is that there are 29 multiple choice questions and 6 word problems on this test. So it's a lot of steps, and we will do some more simple examples, but I wanted you to see big picture how this works with a situation and creating our equations, and then solving for both variables and checking our answers. So we'll dial it back in the next example, and we will just do 2 equations that are pre-created for us, and then we'll kind of work on that skill a little bit more before we jump back into another word problem. But I wanted you to see the big picture of how it all fits together.